Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am stoked about today's lesson. This is going to be a really, really tactical, really helpful lesson for so many people out there. And I'm very excited to be able to do this for you because when I started my business, um, I got into entrepreneurship 15 years ago. There were some challenges that I faced that I wish somebody could have helped me through some certain sections of some of those challenges. And this was one of them. And I stumbled my way through because I didn't know this information, but you today have the opportunity to hear this live from a serial entrepreneur that's been in business for doing this kind of work for over 15 years. And really, I just loved it. I'm passionate about this work and passionate about helping entrepreneurs be better, actually make their dreams come to fruition. I, with my wife, started our company, the current company, 11 years ago, and we grew it very quickly and grew it to a multi-million-dollar organization, got team members, and stumbled through the processes of hiring and stumbled through the other processes of building a business and strategy and all this stuff. And I spent years learning and going through courses and listening to seminars and reading and reading and reading until I was blue in the face. And I really started to get narrow down some of the key things in business that trip entrepreneurs up. Along this journey, I've really had the opportunity to meet and talk with and work through challenges with many entrepreneurs out there that are dealing with challenging things in their business. And so many of the questions come up because of a lack of focus on how to know what to focus on and when. And even this last week, I was talking to one young gentleman, and we were talking about the process of deciding what you should be working on as you run your business. And he's in a high leadership position within his company, and he was struggling with that and just talking through, like, how could we set up a matrix for the people in our organizations to consistently know what to do, when, and what to focus on, because it seems like there can always be a fire in some place. Each fire seems important. How do we decide which one is most important and that gives us the most impact in the long term and that doesn't destroy our business in the short term? How do we do that? And so this webinar today is about that subject, creating a decision-making framework for your business that helps you to not get distracted, not lose focus, and to know what to focus on when, so that as you go through the process of the daily operations of your business and you're hit with this thing and that detail and this drama from the team member and these financial things that you got to work through and sales things and collections and some just whatever's going on in your business, you don't get shaken off of course of the whole of the big picture of what you're working toward and what you're trying to accomplish. And this framework that I'm going to talk about today is vital if you're going to be consistent, intentional, and give yourself the greatest opportunity of success. Because in business, there is nothing that will guarantee success. There's nothing in business out of the whole spectrum of events and things that we can work on that says, I guarantee I will be successful. Absolutely not. That doesn't exist. If somebody promises you that, then they're lying. However, I will put a big caveat on that and say, look, if there are very specific things that you can do and make a part of your daily operations, your consistent operations within your company, and if you do them and institute them in your operations, you will give yourself and your company the highest likelihood of being able to work through those challenges and get over and beyond them. Because ultimately, we want to be standing on top of this pile of mistakes instead of underneath a huge mountain of things that broke and went wrong and that we had to figure out how to work through. Okay, so we want to be standing on top of that. And so creating a decision-making framework for your business is absolutely vital to make that come to life and to really guide you forwards. All right, so if you don't know me already, my name is Jason Ellinger. I'm the CEO of Taika Translations and TVV Team. You can check out our channel on YouTube. You probably already know it since you're here. And I've been live for the past 5 weeks. This is the 5th week, every Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern. There was a time change in there. That's why it just really threw my head off. So 9:30 Eastern, and just sharing this information with you guys, and I'll be another four, yeah, another four, three, 3 weeks. Sorry, I'm going to be online for another 3 weeks. Wednesday at 9:30. I might continue beyond that if I can create the formulate the content, but it takes a lot of energy each week to create the content and then do the content. So I just want to see how this goes, so I can decide if that's the right thing, right step for our company moving forwards. All right, so business is about driving decisions and taking the right action with massive impact at the right time. Okay. Business is all about this. And there's so many things that happen in the ebb and tide of business and the comings and goings of our operations that shift us one way or the other. But if you can create a framework for yourself and for your team that helps you stay the course, that's what this webinar is about today. This webinar is about creating the framework. Oh, here, I said it. And for you and your business, that helps decisions flow easily, consistently, and effectively, even if you're not naturally decisive and it's not your strength. A lot of people out there are not naturally decisive. I'm fortunate in the way that I'm decisive and a lot of decisions. I make a decision, and then if it was the wrong decision, I just followed up with 3 more decisions until we get to a good one. But my wife is just the opposite. She's like, I'm not going to make a decision until I know it's the right decision. And then I make a decision, and it's obviously always a good one because it's my wife, and women know everything. So anyways, the business is about making your decisions flow. Because if you get stuck in analysis paralysis of the process of doing a thing, and then you get stopped because of the details, and then you get distracted over here and over there, and you need to work on this thing, but you're all over the place, and you don't make any massive forward action because you don't have a plan that's actually working for you and guiding your activity, then you will fail. And you cause failure in so many different areas of your organization, even if it's unintentional, even if you're intending to help everybody do better. All right. So this is very important to get right. And that's why there's a process that where you go through answering 6 vital questions for your business to really create clarity and the ultimate advantage. And these 2 questions that I'm going to talk about helping you answer today for you and your business are the most tactical, down-to-earth part of that entire process that really helps you drive forwards. So as we get into the content today, I just want you to have those thoughts in mind and to really understand what we're doing, because this is a very, very important part of the process. And I thought, what is the most helpful thing that I could give an entrepreneur out there today that doesn't get too high in the sky with thought, and that doesn't that actually gives them work boots that they can put on the ground and run with. And these 2 things are just that, and that's why we're going to talk about them today. So guys, step 1, and I know this sounds very simple, but so many business owners don't get this right. And this is something that you will help your business do and it will help you guide your decisions on what you need to be working on if you get this right. So to do this, the first step number 1, and I'm breaking this down into steps to make it very easy and actionable. I've read hundreds of books on this stuff, talking about all different types of methodologies and principles and concepts and theories. And then I put, all of this into practice for years and years myself. And it's like, okay, how can I make this simple so people can use it right now? Because in this world of operation and activity, you've got to know the knowledge and be able to do it immediately. And so this is something you can do right now. And that's what we're going to start. That's why we're going to start with the simplest form possible of the kind of more complicated thing. All right. Step 1, clearly understand and write down what business you are in. To do this, you must answer the question, what do we do? All right. Now that sounds very, very simple. You're like, okay, Jason, this is like a no-brainer. All right. Budgeting is also a no-brainer. And yet still millions of people retire with nothing in their bank account, and they have to live on Social Security. If everything simple was easy to do, then if all the simple concepts that were easy to do, then everybody would be rich, wealthy, and have everything they want. But they don't. So to do this, we must start with the question, what do we do? And realize that while you're answering this question, you're answering another question which is what do we do not do. And this is the place that we start with focus. So here's an example. You need to write down something super simple. I think I said it on the next page. Okay, yeah, next page. Okay. So, all right, we write down something super simple, but I'm going to give you these quick two examples before I talk a little bit more about how to do this. Okay. So, my company, Taika Translations, provides translation, interpretation, and digital services that provide clarity and empowers people to move their lives forward. That's what we do. Very plain, very simple, nothing pizzazzy, clear. And then my company, the TPP team, provides business consulting, training, and educational content. Hence, you're watching the videos right now. This is part of our business. We provide critical business HR services to get real work done for the companies and accountability functions for those same services. That's what we do. It's very clear, very straightforward. Got it, understood, good. So, what do you do? Important things for you to understand while answering the question, what does our organization or my organization do? It is not a marketing blur. This is not something flashy or trendy. It is not abstract. It is not vague. It's just a clear definition, something your grandmother, by the way, no offense to grandmothers, I think they're very, very smart, but no offense, and something she would understand. Like your grandmother, you're like, hey, this is what I do. Oh, my son does such and such. That's how easy it should be to understand. You can go back to the last slide and check that out. Well, I'll just go back to it really quickly so you can see that. Here's an example. Taika Translations provide translation, interpretation, and digital services that provides clarity and empowers people to move their lives forwards. Simple. Just that's it. All right. And this is not for marketing. It's not for any other purpose than to give you clarity to say what you do and also identify what you do not do. So this should not take longer than 30 minutes. It's something you can do by yourself if you're a solopreneur, if you have a few team members or a massive team, something that you can sit down with them and say, okay, what is it that we do? Because we're focused on everything. We're trying to do everything. We're leaking money here. We're bleeding out over there. And we're just not growing like we should. What in the world do we do? And do we do really well that the marketplace really likes from us? And a great way to identify that is, what do you get paid the most for? The service or the product that you get paid the absolute most for, and the thing that brought you to this point of your business, that's probably the thing that you do. Now, there are probably some other things that you can add on to that, and every business is made like that. You start with this thing, and then you grow it for a while, and then you can add other products, but they need to be in some way related to this. I'll talk more about some of that in a little bit later. If you have a team, make sure your leaders are completely aligned in this one sentence description. And don't leave this conversation until everybody understands what you do. Our company does this. We do this, and this is what we provide to the world so that our grandmother could understand. Okay, why is this important? Keeps you on track because the vast majority of your time should be focused on doing something that strengthens or improves the economic engine behind your business activity, what it is that you do. So when you say what we do and you say what we do not do, you clearly identify for yourself and everyone in the world what it is that drives the economic engine. And when you can understand that, you can get a little bit closer to understanding what it is that you should be working on most of your working time as you come to work each and every day. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, there's so many things to work on all over the place. How do we decide which one is the most important and get to that each day, do it consistently? Because, excuse me, if you don't work on that most important thing each and every day, and somebody else does have clarity and they're working on that most important thing each and every day, and they're somewhere in your industry, you're going to get crushed because those people are working on that most important thing and you're kind of getting distracted all over the place over here, and you're not moving towards that most important thing that you should be working on, and they just move right on ahead and on into the future. But you can be the one that moves right on ahead and on into the future because you can stay focused. You have clarity around what you're supposed to be doing, what drives most of your money in your organization, working fiercely on that thing with massive impact. By the way, my name is Jason Ellinger. I'm the CEO of Taika Translations and TVB team. And if you would like and subscribe and hit the notifications bell at this point, I would really, really appreciate it. I put content like that, like this, out there for entrepreneurs to help people. I'm passionate about entrepreneurship, and I just want to make sure that people's lives are moving forwards and upwards in the best and fastest rate possible, built on solid principles that are time tested, that work. So, like and subscribe, and we'll continue this presentation today. All right, so answering the next question is a little bit more complicated than the first one, and it does require a lot more work. But this is something that is super, super important. And I kind of, when I get into this question with people, it's like, okay, so we're going to be talking about strategy. It's like, strategy. Oh my gosh, what is strategy? And it's just, there's so many. I've read, just like I talked about in the last question, I've read so many pieces of content around strategy, business strategy, how to make a business strategy. This guy thinks this way, this girl thinks that way, and you're like, oh my gosh, what the heck even is strategy? Okay, so I want to dumb it down here, not because you're dumb, just because I need things explained to me very simply to help me actually put workflows on them and move forwards. So that's helped me get where I am, which is multi-million-dollar organization, which is awesome, freaking amazing, dream come true kind of stuff. And I want you to get there too. So I'm just going to put it out there as simple as I possibly can, and hopefully you can take and run with it. Now, if you can, also, by the way, I would love it if you could comment. And by the way, my great team member just popped me a note. She said, um, um, yes, ask people to, yes, please, if you would let me know what in the chat it is that you do. Remember, in the last question I just asked, what do we do? So could you guys who are listening right now, if you own a business and if you're operating some section of your business, would you please write in the chat right now what it is that your company does? What are the functions of your, like, what is the work that you do? Spend some time while I'm talking through this to actually put this information to use, and you'll create a whole new level of clarity for yourself and for your business, and to help you understand what you should be focused on during your work week. So, all right. External question. The question is, okay, let me answer this question really quick before I get to this one. And it's talking about, is this different from mission, vision, and values? Yes, it is absolutely different from mission, vision, and values. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that question, because mission, when I talked about at the beginning of this video, I said, for the mission, vision, and values, they are more for the first two questions. These are the second two questions. There's two more questions after this, but these are the most tactical ones to help you to kind of drive out the noise and understand what the world it is you're supposed to be focused on. So, very good question. This is not the mission, vision, and values part. That actually is before these two questions. This is sandwiched right in the middle, but this is kind of the meat and potatoes of what we start to do to understand what to focus on in our business. And that's why I'm providing this to you today. All right, so the goal is to identify the primary pillars for decision making. That means creating a strategy for your business. Oh my gosh, I just said the curse word strategy. Strategy, curse word. Put simply, all right, guys, boiled down after, I don't know, thousands of hours reading, frustration, working on strategy in my own company, dealing with strategy with other people in their businesses. What is strategy? Strategy is your business's plan for success. That's strategy. As much as everybody else in the marketplace says, and as complicated as they want to get with this, strategy is simply you making your business's plan for success. That's it. That's it. So with that definition, we will proceed to talk about answering the question, how will we succeed? We're making the strategy, which is the plan for success. So I say strategy, you say business's plan for success. Write it in the comments, please. Strategy is my business's plans for success. Okay, strategy, business plans for success. I'm pointing over there because that's where the comment section is, and that's where I can see the comments. So So go ahead and write it in there. That would be awesome. Okay, so strategy means business is planned for success. It's a set of intentional, pre-made decisions that give you the best chance of succeeding. Thank you, Kyle. Excellent. Thank you for putting that in the chat. And differentiates you from the competition. Remember how I said the previous question does not differentiate you? It's simply a matter of fact, clear understanding of what it is that we do and what it is that we do not. This is actually made to give you the understanding of what differentiates you. Now, when you answer the first question and then you move into this question, you very quickly get to this moment where as you're growing your business, it moves to a certain level and you have some extra margin. And when that happens, you will inevitably, in every level of wealth building, in every, the $250,000 level, $500,000 level, $1 million, multi-million-dollar level, every level you have the temptation or some great uncle, friend from somewhere is going to have an amazing business idea for you to invest in / speculate in. And you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I could go do that. And I could take some cash from the company that it desperately needs, by the way, because money is the lifeblood of your company. I could take some of the cash in my company and I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna go invest it. You're gonna say I'm gonna invest it to expand our portfolio and increase, cast our bread upon many waters, even get biblical. Like, I'm gonna cast my bread upon many waters. And I'm going to invest in multiple things. I'm going to diversify myself. Look, when you're investing, you diversify. If you want to take the money out of your company as part of your paycheck and then go invest in your uncle's company or burn it in the middle of the table in your living room, that's fine. But you can't do that with the company's money and say it's helping our company. It's simply something you wanted to do somewhere, and that's fine. You can go do that as long as you've taken it out of the company. The company no longer is utilizing it. And it is not, you're not justifying your stupidity, loss of focus in this extra effort over here that does not benefit the organization. So this keeps you from those temptations where you get the shiny object, or some people say the woman in the red dress, where you get to this position in your business, you've got some margin, and now all these opportunities come up around you, and you're like, oh, let's invest in this restaurant. We sell software, but we're going to invest in this restaurant, or we're going to buy this piece of land and have people plant vegetables and sell them to the local market, to Walmart and HEB. And it's like, wait a minute, what do we do? Well, we are a software company that provides online support and remote software solutions. Like, where in that is investing in restaurants and growing vegetables to sell to Walmart? Nowhere. So many businesses get to this level and they lose focus, and then they start working on things that are exterior to their business that they think could possibly bring profit, because the challenges in business are hard. Nobody actually realized that you get to this place of business, even if you get to a new level, and then you hit a wall and it's really hard to get through that wall, and you're like, okay, well, this maybe is my cap and I'm making a little bit of margin, so why don't I just look around and see what I can invest in that will help me to grow better and faster, instead of break through this wall that I need to get through so that I can move my company to the next level. And that wall could come in many forms. It could come in you needing to learn to become a better leader. It could come in the form of you needing to learn how to market your company. It could become in the that's one that always just bothers me when I hear, well, we always grow by word of mouth. You will grow by word of mouth to a certain point. And then once you become a much larger organization that actually grows like the rest of the businesses in the marketplace, you will have to learn to market. And so many businesses are like, I just grow by word of mouth. If you only grow by word of mouth, you're not growing fast enough or big enough. Well, if you're satisfied with the level you are and you only want to stay that size, that's fine. But I'm not satisfied with the level my company is, and we've grown pretty quickly to where we are, and we're going far beyond where we are. And that's why you have to stay focused. You get to this level of your business somehow, and you hit this wall, and you're like, oh my gosh, it would be so easy to go here and do that, or go over here and do that, instead of solving the freaking problem in front of you. And these shiny objects pop up all over the place, and you start to diversify your focus. Hence, you take your focus off of this concrete block wall that's right in front of your face, and you don't bust through it. But in order to get to the next level in your business, you have to bust through that freaking wall that's in front of your face. And until you bust through that wall, you will not move to the next level. Whether that's learning how to market your company, whether that's learning how to be a better leader, whether that's learning whatever it is, getting certifications and growing your organization, whatever way it must be done, there will be walls at different stages of your company. And the temptation is to constantly veer off and do something easier and let your focus flow to something that you're much better at. And that is dangerous. That is a recipe for allowing your company to trend downwards and ultimately to be destroyed. So don't let your organization, don't let your focus get distracted by all these other things, because the thing that you need to do is really, really hard and you don't know how to do it. And it's kind of scary, but these things you know how to do, they're very easy, and it just takes a little bit of investment of your time and energy and focus, which takes away from the thing you actually need to work on, which is why we're talking about this today, because I'm talking about giving you the best possible chance of succeeding and taking your business as big as it possibly can be. By the way, I'm doing this in my company as well right now, like literally this week, as I talk to my leaders, as I talk to my team members, we're doing this. This is not theory. I'm actually doing this stuff. There's hard brick walls that stand in front of us, and we're busting them down. And we busted them down all the way to this point. And again, we hit another one. And it's like, all right, get out the jackhammers. We're going through it, baby. And we're staying focused, laser focused. We're just plowing through this thing until we get this knocked down and we move to the next level, because incredible explosive growth is on the other side. All right. So answering the question, how will we succeed? Business strategy for your business. Again, what is strategy? Strategy is your business's plan for success. Okay? Simple, easy to understand, no complicated jargon, okay? It's just your business plan for success. Now, how many pillars do we need to create? 3 or 4. That is it, okay? There's 3 or 4 things that you're going to write down. We're going to get into in a minute how to walk through that. And you need to have 3 or 4, not more, because then you're going to be too broad, too unfocused. You have to have 3 or 4, so you're very focused to move in the right direction. These pillars serve as filters to evaluate the accuracy and the consistency of your activity. They provide context for all future decisions and prevent opportunistic, unfocused decision. Classic shiny object distractions. I just went over that. Let's move forwards. All right. Now, here is an excellent example. Looked out there in the marketplace and was like, okay, what is a really good example? I looked out and said, okay, one of the best examples that I've seen over the past 20 years, 30 years, I guess, man, they've been in business a long time, is Southwest Airlines. The Southwest Airlines has an incredible company, an incredible culture. They actually just had a hostile takeover, I think, last year. I think somebody bought a whole bunch of their stock and they wanted to do a transition. I don't know if that happened or not, but anyways, they had a big transition. But they did something very important. They made a very important strategic pillar for their organization that's still alive to this day. Southwest has used Boeing 737s for the entire time that they've been in business. Now, that might change in the future if they decide strategically for them that needs to change. But right now, until this point, for the past 30 years, they have, or maybe even more than that, they have used Boeing 737s as a very, very specific, very, very important part of their growth strategy. And the reason is they say, we will use 737s to create operational efficiency through a single aircraft model, which reduces training time and costs. Very simple, but a very clear strategic decision that they made for their organization, and they've stuck through it. And Southwest Airlines is one of the only organizations to create a profitable airline. In some periods of the past 30 years, they were the single airline that actually turned a profit in that same time period. So look them up. They're a really, really cool story to read through and to understand how their business just evolved over the years and what the things were that really helped them. held the course for them and caused them to be profitable when nobody else was. But one of the things was they became very clear about the things that they needed to do for their organization that would give them the biggest chance of succeeding. And they said, all right, we're going to create our business strategy, and that is we're going to purchase one type of airplane for transporting all the people that we transport. So when they offered a deal, a very good deal on aircrafts that do the exact same thing, transport people from here to here, the decision is simple. No, we don't need it. It's not a Boeing 737. But when they're offered a great deal on Boeing 737s because other companies went out of business because they just got spread all over the place and they're not focused, Boeing just jumps on it with no hesitation. They're like, yeah, we'll take them all. And we'll get like a 70% discount because you're going into business and you're going to sell them at a loss anyways. So give us all those planes. And they buy them. And they're incredibly profitable because they have made a conscious decision. It guided the future decisions and said no when they needed to say no and says yes when they need to say yes without them even having to do much thinking. Now, I want you to really think about this for a minute because the pre-decided pillars shape strategy and enable you to make fast and accurate, consistent decisions. When you can do this, when you can actually make fast and accurate business decisions very quickly, again and again and again, that will give you so much success in your business and in your life that you will just be amazed that, like, man, how come people can't do this? Well, because they can't make fast, accurate decisions that actually move their life forwards. So hold on, I got myself a little bit too far forwards. Okay, yeah. All right. So here I wanted just to talk about one concept for a minute that you have to understand and able to be able to really dig into this idea of clearly comprehending what we're trying to do. Now, if any of you have ever gone to a third world country or been in some place where they have wells, like a well that you drop a bucket down and you can draw the water out of it, or it has that, that old time crank thing that has a rope on it. There's a bucket on the end of it, and you just let it down into the well. And whenever you would let the bucket down and it would go too fast, it would whack the person on the side of the head really hard and maybe even kill them. You got to watch out for that. So it was just that kind of a well, the one that you draw the water out of. Well, I was in Romania on a trip one time with my family, and I was amazed that they were in some of these villages way out in the middle of nowhere. They have these wells, and they're central to the entire city. The entire city, every single day, comes to the well, draws water from it, and during the day, the water level drops, and it goes down and down and down and down and down, all the way it could almost be like dry, but it's not dry because it's still moist dirt down there. And then over the night, it fills all the way back up, and it's been doing this for hundreds of years. And the wells are huge. I mean, they're like 10 feet around, and there's lots of water, and they just draw out the well. If the well's big enough, it holds its level. But in any case, most of the wells throughout the day, their contents are depleted. It goes down and down and down. And the kind of metaphor is at the beginning of the day, every single day, you have a volume of decision-making power. And at the beginning of the day, it's full. You've rested, it filled up at night, you came to work, you have energy and strength, and now you come, you're ready to do work, and you get after it. And the more decisions that you have to make throughout the day, you draw and draw and draw and draw from that well until it's all the way depleted. That's why when you go home at night and you've had to make a ton of decisions and had a lot of conversations with your team members during the day, and you go home at night, you just need to go for a walk or something before you talk to your family sometimes, because you're like, I just have no more capacity to decide even on what I want to eat or what I should say about my child's science project. I just want to just like, God, say nothing, because that resource of decision-making power, Siri is talking to me, that resource of decision-making power is depleted. And so you have a well of decision-making power each and every day. At the beginning of the day, you have really sharp, great capacity. At the end of the day, it gets less and less and less. That's why you should always make your most challenging decisions in the morning, in the first 4 hours of the day, because there's going to be some issues because you're drawing from that well. However, the point with that is, as many of the decisions that you can pre-make, that cause you to not be able to have to make such challenging decisions in the future, the less you're going to have to draw from that well each day, and the more accurate and consistent your decisions are going to be, and the better they're going to be, because the bigger the decision, the bigger amount you draw out of that resource of decision making power that you have for that day. All right, so it gets renewed, it gets replenished, but you have to rest before you do that. And this process is for you to be able to focus on what matters, make the right decisions for the day, not make the decisions that you don't need to make, because some of them are already being made consistently well. Okay. So I wanted to explain that concept as we go through this, because it's very much a part of this, and it very much feeds into making great decisions for your business, because the ability to make decisions and take massive actions from those great decisions you made has everything to do with you being able to win. Now, we are working on building the pillars, the strategic pillars for our organization. Now, what is this? How do we do this? You start by answering the question. Well, actually start by drawing an amoeba, kind of this weird shape. I'm symbolizing that there is a whiteboard here, because sometimes there is a whiteboard here and I actually draw on it. So there's an amoeba shape, and then you make a messy and exhaustive list on everything, anything and everything having to do that is true about your business. Everything, anything and everything that you know to be true about you and your business. You fill the list slash amoeba with the terms and phrases from anything you can think of. And I'm going to go to this next section to show you anything that has to do with hiring, pricing, client acquisition, marketing, sales, work hours, location, branding, sourcing, services offered, formatting choices, finance and budgeting, content creation, advertising, merchandising, partnership, decor, promotions, work hours, and everything else that you can think of about your company. Write it, a phrase about it, on the whiteboard or on your amoeba, or you can use a piece of paper, or maybe if you're a super digital person, you can just use your online tools. But you write that down, all these phrases about what it is that the different functions of your organization, and you just get everything you can out there. The goal is to not get it done quickly. The goal is to get it done right, to get it comprehensively understood. And it will be the exhaustive list will be messy. It will have redundant items. There will be interrelated things. There will be what am I, a rapper? There will be interrelated kind of stuff that's going on there. There will be chaotic. It will be a little bit chaotic. It's not going to be very scientific. Be very organic. Have a lot of conversation, and it will be fun. And I got a question. Let me see what the question is. What are some common mistakes people make when defining what their business actually does? Great question, Jake. Common mistakes they make when they're defining what their business does is they think that when they make that statement that it must be something that is supernatural, that is something that is pizzazzy, that is something exciting, and something that draws people in, and something super sexy. It's you don't want to do that. Because this is about getting very clear about what we need to be focusing on, what we need to be working on every single day of our workday. So the most common mistake I've seen is that they think it has to be something that's just cool, that I want to impress people with, or that sets us apart. And that's not what we're trying to do. So that was in the previous question, though, so I don't want to get too far off track and drag everybody back into that question. But thank you very much for this question. And I think that is the number one thing that I've seen that people mistake, that they make when they think that they need to say something that's just super complicated. No, it's just simple. We do this. We do this thing here, and that means we also don't do many other things. We do this. All right. So this question about what it is in our organization that makes the daily, the life, the functions of everything that we do is all of this. Chaotic, unscientific, organic, but it's also very fun because there's a lot of conversation around it. And anytime you have a conversation with great people around something that you really care about, it's always fun, right? If you don't care about your business and it's not fun, well, you should get out of it because it should be so fun in some ways and really, really hard and painful other days. And that's just part of business. Now, this exhaustive list will have list all of these characteristics. The next thing you do, so remember, we have this whiteboard, we have an amoeba written on the whiteboard, and now we have this all these phrases about things that we do. We take we have a minimum of 7 interviews when we hire. We budget. We run our company debt free. We sell medium grade products to with low prices, like Walmart or something. That'd probably be something that dated, right? We just whatever, just all the different things of that have to do with your company. You write it on this board. We're working on the business strategy, those strategic pillars, those 3 to 4 strategic pillars. So after we get all the stuff, it's very exhaustive. There should be the whole thing should be completely full. I mean, if it's like a 3-foot amoeba and the font is like about like that, then it should be completely full with different aspects of what it is about the functions of your organization. We come to work on time. We work remotely. We rent buildings for our stores in other massive buildings so that we don't have to upfront big building costs. I don't know, whatever it is. All of these different types of terminology you would put on that list. And then after that, you're going to start looking for patterns, looking for things that you can group together, anything that's related to another thing or inside of another process or part of something else, a theme or a tone. Oh, that's spelled wrong. I see it on my screen. It's spelled wrong. Don't judge me. It's spelled wrong. Anyways, so it's anything that's related to one another. You're looking for things in your operations of your organization that differentiate you, that you hold to be valuable, that you're already doing, that you don't realize it's just something that's very valuable to your organization and that's already happening. It's already a part of your day-to-day life. It's already a part of the operations of your company, and it's a realistic thing that impacts the company. And so now you are grouping those into patterns, and you're starting to get a little bit of clarity around what these pillars are. And we're looking for anything that differentiates us and helps us succeed. Any themes that say, okay, we do this way, and we think that doing this way helps us to succeed. We think that. I think on the next slide I have a few examples. Okay, no, we'll get there in a minute. All right, so as we move through this process, I just want to say at this phase, there is a lot of judgment that you need to pass on yourself, on your company. You should have be thinking about each of these things, these areas of your company, and you're grouping them very kind of you need to kind of judge yourself if this is true, if this is something that we really and truly value, or if this thing is a function of something else, or if this thing is not something that we necessarily think helps us succeed, it's just something that exists. Like those things that you need to make a differentiation between the things that actually impact the daily operations of your company and the things that you feel are just not as essential, but they just exist there. And then kind of group all of these into sections. It should be something where you really reflect on the activities that you have going on in your organization and how valuable they are to you, and if you think they're even valuable at all, and maybe you even need to cut something out. But use your intuition, do some self-searching introspection and forward thinking to say, okay, do these things, these groups of things in our company, do they lead to some very important outcome? Do they create some very important thing for our organization to operate on, or are they simply part of another function that don't necessarily not that vital for us? They just are. Okay. And so we move into the next section. We ask ourselves and our leadership team, how will we make decisions intentionally and uniquely in ways that maximize our strengths and set us apart. This is a question that you ask about that question and about the stuff that's on the amoeba that you've already worked through the grouping of. You work through the grouping of these things, and now you ask yourself and your leadership question, because now you have the groups and you've connected other groups and you have the areas, and you can talk about the different areas and you say, how do we is this a thing that helps us make decisions intentionally and uniquely that maximizes our strengths and set up us apart? And you work through each of those things that you grouped on the amoeba, and you ask yourself that question, and you converse with your team about this, and they're like, yeah, no, this is definitely something that we believe actually makes a difference. And you've got some really cool people on your team because you're a really cool person, because you hire really cool people, and cool people hang around cool people, so they're really smart just like you. And you start drawing out the answer, the strategy. Oh my gosh, we're getting to strategy for your organization, because you're just being intentional and honest about what it is that your company does, all the functions that make it work, and the things that you guys think most likely, if you do them, if you're making those decisions in those areas intentionally, do they maximize your strength of your organization, and do they set you apart in some special way? So you're going to create 3 to 4 sentences that represent the groups and themes that you created in the previous from the amoeba. So you've got the amoeba, you've grouped everything, you've got the phrases that you started to pick out about each of these groupings, and you've talked about them. Now you've gone through with your team and talked about why and how. Sorry, I got off track. You talked about if those decisions, if those are part of the process, how you believe making decisions intentionally and uniquely in this area, doing these things, if that really sets you apart, and if that strengthens and maximizes the output of your organization. And then you really start to get some clarity around those things. So here's some examples. I put them here for you so that you can kind of view them and just have a really good understanding of what some of these strategic pillars can look like. So here's one: create. So we create positive, helpful, and fact-based content for business owners. That's the thing that we do. That's part of our strategy, right? We build a loyal online community and become a trusted resource. We rent spaces in large buildings with low rent/advertising to keep prices low. We stay competitive by reducing fixed costs and being frugal. We maintain multiple suppliers for each product line to avoid bottlenecks and price hikes, right? We build a community destination that's neat and comfortable, that is a neat and comfortable place for the local community. And so all of these would be some of those strategic pillars that you put in place, and that will, in the future, when you have a decision to make, they will help you focus like, okay, is this something that's part of our strategy that really matters? Or is this just something that I don't need to spend much time with? And you can very quickly start to eliminate so much of the noise in the marketplace that wants to grab your focus, because Americans, we are one of the most marketed to people in the history of mankind. Like, our focus is all over the place. You drive down the highway and there's like 10,000 billboards advertising everything, right? And if you can cut out that noise and truly focus yourself again and again and again, without having to make a multitude of decisions every single day, because so many of the decisions are already made, you can give yourself so much of an advantage, because you're always focusing on the right thing. And when the right thing, right? How you like that? So when you get to that wall that I was talking about earlier in your business, when you grow your business to that level and you meet that wall, you don't lose your focus and go here. You freaking get out the jackhammer and say, hey, team members, get over here. I need help. Jackhammers, get all the jackhammers out. Let's beat on this freaking wall until we bust through the dang thing. And we're going to bust through it, and we're going to hit on it until we get through it. Because we know that this is a thing that we do, and the market needs this thing, and we're providing at this level of service. But on the other side of that wall, I see this exponential growth going, and we're going to grow like crazy once we figure this out. But we got to get through this freaking wall, and you bust through it. And you work for it, and you don't lose focus. You just focus on that, because this is the strategic thing that makes your business work and gives you the best chance of success in the future. You're not going to get distracted. You're going to focus. And that creates momentum. It creates exponential growth for your organization, and it keeps you steady on the things that you should be acting on. Now, there are some rare exceptions. Once you've got your 3 to 4 pillars for your strategic direction for your business. Remember now, you got the amoeba, you had the groupings, you had the discussions about the groupings, and you decided now here are 3 to 4 sentences that we can very clearly specify for us in our organization. This is how we set ourselves apart. This is how we succeed. This is what's important to us in such and such area. This is how we think we're going to win long term. And there's just 3 to 4 very clear phrases for your team. Now, there will, excuse me, let me get a drink of water really quick. All right, here we go. All right, there will be some rare exceptions, okay? Because you'll be going along in your business, something will come up, and for example, here's one that you would never think of, and you would never wish it on anyone, but it's happened, and it happens sometimes in business. So you're going along in your business, and people are just moving along, and somebody in your business, because it's full of people, and because people interact, some people have some problems in their lives with them. You have problems in your lives that affect you, right? And sometimes you have your team members, they have problems in their lives, and it impacts them very negatively. Somebody gets sick, a child gets ill, a divorce happens, somebody needs counseling, somebody needs some kind of help, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is not a part of our business strategies. This is not helping us succeed. This is a challenge but that person is so valuable to your organization that if you don't deal with that, and if you don't go off strategy to help them and to encourage them, it's going to and maybe to help them heal, is going to cause your business to tank. So just be mindful that there are moments, rare exceptions, when we have to step to the side and say, guys, we're intentionally stepping to the side to deal with this thing that's very important to our company that we know is going to help us to grow in the future, but is not necessarily on our strategy. But it's a very rare exception, and you just have to acknowledge the reality of that, and then proceed with a clear awareness that this is not part of the strategy, the plan for success for our business, the business's plan for success. Remember, strategy, business's plan for success. It's not part of our strategy, but it is very important, and it does impact our organization very profoundly. So we need to deal with it. And so that and that is and that is one of those rare exceptions, just an example. And so I just want to put that caveat out there, because if you just think, well, we have to only stay focused on these 4 things and that's it, and then something like that happens, you will become very cold and very harsh and rigid, when in business you do have to have a very wise level of flexibility. All right, excuse me. Unlike your company's core purpose, which again, I think it was Kyle who asked that question. Unlike your company's core purpose, strategic anchors can change from time to time. Usually when market conditions shifts or competitive pressures increase, you do adjust your business strategy, your business plan for success. So this can happen. It should happen throughout the life cycle of your business as you move through the process of growing your business. I think it must happen, actually, if you want to prosper over time, because the environment will change. The cordless drill did come out. There was only corded drills, and then the cordless drill came out, and it made the world bigger, better, and faster in the area of construction. But it did displace a lot of the cordless drill purchase, right? Because it's way easier to work with a cordless drill than a corded drill, right? Just like AI. AI came out right now and just profoundly impacted the world in so many ways, lifting our efficiency and helping us do so many different cool things. And it did displace some of the other work that's happening. So when market conditions shift or competitive pressures increase, you have to go back to the strategy and look, okay, does this need to change, and how do we need to change it, and be intentional about that. So when it happens, you go through the same process, writing down the amoeba, writing about the business functions, but you do it a lot faster because you're more practiced at it. And excuse me, my nose is somehow itching because you're going through because you know how to do it, and it's much more intuitive at that point. So that's why I'm teaching you this right now, because it's very important for you to be able to understand that. So the core purpose of the organization is always going to stay very, very rigid, but the business is planned for success. Some of those elements that sometimes they will change. For example, for in Southwest, though, their 737 policy, their 737 strategy, it's like been like that for like 35 years. So that some of them will stay, some of them will change, but that all depends on the environment that you're working in at the time. So two big questions about changing your strategy, your business's plan for success is, what is the barrier to entry in your industry, and what is the level of innovation? The higher the barrier to entry, and the more innovation in your industry, the faster, the more often you're going to have to come back to this area of working through what strategy, what is your business's plan for success, how you'll be able to succeed into the future. And so you have to revisit that. Don't be scared of it. You just have to acknowledge that you have maybe a low barrier of entry into your industry and a high level of innovation. That means your strategy is going to change much more often. But if you have a very high level of entry into barrier of entry into your organization, think of a pharmaceutical company, for example, and the innovation levels, they're not very high. The technology and stuff inside that will change, but as far as the marketing, as far as the market being able to, the industry being able to be impact, as far as who's purchasing the product that it provides and their access to that, it will change the speed at which you need to change your strategic pillars for your organization. So the higher these are, the more often your strategy may need to change. If it's a change, if a change is necessary, schedule the focused meeting and make the updates in a very short time. You need to work through this very quickly. You've done it before. You know how to do it now because I talked about it in this webinar. And now you can do it in the future with your company. And ideally, you need to get this done within 2 weeks. You started the conversation. You shared with the team what we're going to do. You scheduled, a couple meetings, 2 or 3 meetings maybe around this thing. Maybe if you're really good, you can do 2 meetings, or maybe if you're not, you're going to have to stretch it to 3, and it takes a little bit longer. If there are more complicated issues that you have to discuss, it could take a little longer. But anyways, give yourself a short period of time, max of 2 weeks, get those meetings done, make the new strategy for your organization, and then charge forward. This is going to be what we're going to focus on to give ourselves the biggest chance of success. And guys, establishing the pillars helps you identify what you should be doing and spending all your time doing. Okay. So many business owners, they're so terribly frustrated at the level of their business because they're like, oh my gosh, we're here and I'm just not sure what I should be focusing all of my time on. Well, now that we have answered the question, what my business does, and now that we have our 4 pillars, I said, it looks like a 2, but okay, now I have to do like this. So what our business does and our 4 pillars on how we're going to succeed. Now I know what I should be focusing all of my time on. It should stay within the realm of these strategic pillars all the time. And if it's not inside those strategic pillars, it's probably not something that you should be spending your time on. And if you've like, well, this thing is actually really, really important, I really need to spend time on that for my business to succeed, then it means you probably didn't make your strategic pillars correctly, because if that's not in there and you're spending time on it, then it's something that matters. So you need to go back and make sure that's in your strategic pillar list, so that you actually do focus on the things that matter for your business. Because so many business owners get to a certain level and they just get frustrated. You're like, man, how do I grow my business? How do I get to the next level? And it's like, you're focused on the wrong stuff. You got to this level, you're not moving to the next level. You're focusing on the wrong stuff, or you're changing your client base and you didn't realize how long it was going to take to make that conversion. Okay, could be this case as well. Maybe you need to focus and just dig in, But most of the time, most business owners get to the place, get to a level, and they're doing things that they're good at, and they're spending time on the things they're good at. But that stuff is not necessarily the thing that moves their business to the next level. Many leaders, in when they go through this process of identifying what their business does, and then they work through the process of identifying the strategic pillars, they understand that they're spending their time doing stuff that doesn't truly move the needle and is not in the best interest of their organization. And when they have clarified that, oh my gosh, I actually don't need to be doing this. I actually just need to be learning how to lead my team better and create clear, great leaders in my organization. Maybe I need to duplicate myself. I need to learn the process of conveying our company values to our team and making sure that they convey the values. That's what I need to learn how to do, because nobody in our company seems to know why we do this except for me, right? So I need to be able to teach my team how to convey those messages throughout the team, proliferate all of that information so that they understand why they do their work, and so on and so forth. And that may be the big thing that you have to work on. Maybe you need to learn how to market your company. Maybe you need to learn how to do sales. Maybe it's a couple of those things. But anyways, many leaders during the process, they understand that they're spending the time on the wrong thing. And many leaders are spending time on the wrong thing, which is why I'm doing this webinar, because I want to help you not spend your most valuable asset, the most valuable resource that you have in your life on things that don't matter. I want you to spend the things that your time and your incredible skills on things that matter, that build your business, and that cause you to prosper many, many years into the future and give your business the best chance of growing and prospering and succeeding. Most business owners only focus on what they're good at, but sometimes the uncomfortable stuff is what is required. Do it and you will be richly rewarded. This is a personal one for me, guys, because there's been many times in my business where honestly I haven't been enough. I have been ill-equipped, incapable in a certain area, and I just worked on the things that I was good at, and I let this thing kind of over here just kind of drag itself along. But what happened is that thing, every small problem was once every big problem. Sorry, let me do that again. Every big problem was once a small problem that a leader failed to address. And so if you let something that's a small problem over time in your company exist, you will create a big problem unintentionally. And you didn't want to do that, but you did. And if you don't address it, it will grow. So you have to become better in the areas of your business that truly matter. And you have to be the person your business needs to be. And oftentimes it's not who you thought it would be before you got into business or before you started doing this work. And when you switch the level of your business and you get to a whole new sales level or operational level or product level, it's going to require these other things that you're very uncomfortable with, that you don't even like to do, but they're very important for the operations of your company. And what I have found is I didn't like them because I was no good at them. But when I became good at them, I started to like them. And you will do the same thing too as you work through identifying the things that make your company succeed, even if they're not even if they're things that you don't necessarily like and you're not good at. But when you become good at them, you will begin to like them much more because of their impact on your life and the lives of all your team members. And now that you're becoming better, you're sending a message to the rest of your team saying, I'm becoming better and willing to do the things that I need to do. I need to change in order for us to grow. And guys, I expect you to do the same. And everybody in your team doing that all the time just lifts the organization in an incredible way. So, full circle. Let's take this full circle. Creating a decision-making framework means creating a strategic pillar, creating the strategic pillars, revisiting them as needed, and recognizing that it is one of the core work activities of a business leader. This is your job. Even if you're not good at it, even if you don't know how to do it, that's why you're watching this video. Now you know how to do it, because I told you. And you can ask me questions, by the way. Feel free to send questions in the chat, follow up by email, put them in the comments. Make sure you're liking and subscribe to the videos, and just shoot me the message, because I get them, and I will literally answer the questions that you're working through. My team will make sure I get them. I have another question here, by the way. Do you approach decision making differently during times of crisis compared to periods of stable growth? And could you share an example from experience? Man, you asked for a really detailed question. Thank you, Carlos. Um, Times of crisis and times of growth, it should be your decision making meeting your decision making consistently should be very similar. Okay, it should. That's why this strategy exists, because we said these things are the things that are going to make us succeed. And when the going gets tough, because it will get tough, I promise you, because business is hard. It's always going to be hard. Anybody who ever thought business was easy and they wanted to get into business because they wanted to work for themselves because it was easy, lied to themselves, because then they got into business and they found out it's way harder than they thought. And when you get into the crisis and you know what the strategic pillars are for your company, you stay the course. When you hit that wall, you get out the jackhammers, you call your team over. Hey guys, let's go. Here's the wall. This is the wall. This is the problem. We got to bust through it. And you stay the course and you stay focused. So you don't go this way or that way during times of crisis, because you know what's going to help your organization succeed. At least you spend a lot of time working to most clearly identify that, because if you don't, who is going to do it for your organization? And could I share an example from my experience? Good question, and I'm thinking of an example. All right, so a time of when maybe there was periods of stable growth. It's a hard question for me to answer off the cuff like this. Okay, that's a good. One of my team members popped up. She said, "What about COVID?" Yes, so COVID was a big deal. Everybody, the whole world had to deal with COVID, right? We had a really bad situation that happened. That is a prime example. I had when the biggest waves of COVID started, our company had been in existence for 9 years or so at that point, and our clients just stopped paying us. Every single client stopped paying us for about 90 or 3 or 4 months. And that was very, very scary, because like, are our clients even going to pay? And so we had a lock on finances, but we had a very clear understanding of these things, that if we do these things, we succeed. We increased our activity. We pulled team members out of other areas and put them in other areas. We kept everybody employed the whole time, because part of our strategy for our company is managing our resources, not operating with any kind of debt. That's part of our overall business strategy. We don't operate on any kind of debt. We were able to continue. We had an emergency fund, and so we continued to pay our team members through that. And over the next 9 months, as we worked our way out of that, worked through COVID and through those periods of non-payment from any of our clients for a 4-month period, we're like, oh my gosh, that's so freaking scary. How are we going to be able to succeed? Well, we were able to bring in, use our emergency fund, and our strategy stayed the same, and we increased our activity. And then we came out of COVID much stronger, because all of our team rallied around what we needed to do and the activities that we understood that we needed to do in order to be able to take the next step forward. And we were able to understand what those should be, because we had a strategy. We had those pillars written down. Like, this is how we think we're going. These are the functions of our company, and this is how we succeed. We manage our finances like this. We work on getting more clients and growing like this, and so on. So, very good question. Thank you for asking it. I think that's a very, very important one, even though it's kind of hard to answer just live. And thank you again, team member, for reminding me of a great period of time too. That was very, very helpful to reference. Okay, so once you have these 3 to 4 guiding pillars, decision making will be clearer. I promise you, it will be clearer, faster, and more consistent. And anything that makes decision making clearer, faster, and more consistent for your organization is incredible value. Second thing, your team can make smart decisions like you, even when you're not there. Like with Southwest, their team members never have a question if they need to purchase a Boeing, any other kind of Boeing, because they only use Boeing 737s. They know, and they can make the smart decisions even if the owner's not there, because the strategy is in place. And you can have the same things around your business. For us, when something comes up that requires us to go into debt, even though it could be a great opportunity, we don't do it because our company doesn't use any kind of debt ever. You'll spend more time on the activities that truly move your business forwards. Anytime you can get more people focused on the true activities that move your business forward, you will accelerate your growth. And through hard times, you will stay focused and understand what things you just need to keep hammering at. When you hit that wall, you just keep hammering at it. It gives you the faith to continue pounding until you bust through it. You will avoid being blindsided by issues that come from unfocused activities. So when you spread out your activity everywhere and you're focused on everything, there's all kind of drama and stuff that comes from that, and it all grabs your attention in all of these areas. But when you focus on the things that truly matter and that truly move the needle forward, you eliminate yourself from being blindsided and knocked to and fro by those types of issues. All right, so we're at the end of the webinar, guys. I just want to thank you very much for sticking with me to this point. I just want to take it back to this for just the last few seconds, because this is where it gets inspirational, guys. When you have yourself and an entire team able to charge forward at neck-breaking speed, because they know what makes things work. They know what the work may be hard, like you're going through something that's very challenging, that's something that's scary, but you know that when you do these things for a long period of time, normally as a history for your company, it works, and you do succeed, and it does turn out better over the long term. You know that, and so you just stay focused on that. When you can give yourself the gift of having that focus and charging each and every day, and then bringing your team into it, you bless your life with so much more peace, that you know that you're going the right direction. You just don't know how long it's going to take until you make that next step into the growth path and the next level of growth that you're after. You don't know how long it's going to take, but you know this activity is the activity that has gotten you here, and something similar to that activity and an enhanced level of that activity is going to get you there. So let's keep going and push through and drive our team forwards. And when you can do this consistently each and every day, you bless yourself and your team with success, with peace, and with the knowledge that they can charge forward doing these things, and over time, you will win. All right, and with that, I'm going to close it out, guys. So thank you very much for being part of the webinar today. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you who attended, and I hope in some very special way that you got something out of this webinar, Siri's talking to me, that you got something out of this webinar that you can take and apply to your business right now today, that will help you move your business forwards and upwards, because ultimately that's why I do this content, because I want to help great entrepreneurs who are well-meaning but maybe just don't have all the tools that they need to really charge forward, to get to that next level, to create that clarity for their business, and to do the work that matters for themselves and their families, even if it's uncomfortable. So thank you again. My name is Jason Ellinger. I'm the CEO of Taika Translations and TVB Team, and I look forward to seeing you in the next webinar next week on Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern.